Hi everyone, my name is Xiaoting Zhu. I'm going to talk to you briefly today about the lead mine in Kabwe, Zambia, and the effects of lead contamination is having on the population. Kabwe, which is the capital of the central province of Zambia, is the world's most toxic town, where max lead poisoning has almost certainly damaged the brains and other organs of generations of children, and where children continue to be poisoned every day. The town has a long history of mining, which operated for more than 19 years and produced large quantities of lead until closure in 1994. The main purpose of the next several slides is to identify the source of lead pollution from mines, lead concentrations in surface soil in Kabwe, Zambia, the effects of lead exposure on blood lead levels, and the hazard of lead exposure to the Zambian, especially to children under 5, because there are some research and studies demonstrate that children under 5 are the most vulnerable. Here is the table of contents. We will start by going over our map of lead concentration in surface soil and the surface soil lead concentration of mine at the distance shown. Next, we will look at the source of lead pollution and the blood lead levels exposure characteristics of people and area differences in blood lead levels. Then move on to mortality rate under 5 years old and lead poisoning symptoms. To start, we will quickly go over the map of lead concentrations in surface soil. The existing data clearly establishes the severity of lead exposure in Kabwe. Environmental data also support the observation that in certain areas of Kabwe, the recommended tolerable soil lead level of 400 mg per kilogram is clearly exceeded. Except for the green dots, lead concentrations in surface soil in all the dots marked area exceed the recommended tolerable level. As seen from the graph, there is a general decline in concentration of surface soil lead with distance from the mine for each of the 4 directions. The term general trend is used to describe this observation. The western side of the mine showed the highest concentrations of lead in surface soil, which is attributable to the rainfall patterns in the town. The graph further demonstrates that mining in Kabwe town in Zambia was responsible for heavy lead pollution. The main mine waste dump occupies an area of approximately 100 hectares with a high concentration of lead. The dump is a source of lead-contaminated fugitive dust, partly responsible for contamination of soils in the areas west of the mine. As we can see, leach residues occupy 63% of lead pollution, indicating it's the main source of lead contamination in waste dump mine. This figure shows us the blood level of different sex or age of all people in Kabwe, Zambia in 2017. The blood level data was collected from the random sampling covering the entire Kabwe district. People mainly have a blood level between 5 to 45 microgram per deciliter. From the study result, male blood levels tended to be higher than female ones. Overall, approximately 5.3% of the participants reported blood levels exceeding 45 microgram per deciliter. This proportion was 40.2% among children under 5, and the group of children under 5 has the greatest high blood levels among all the age groups. CDC regards 5 microgram per deciliter as a reference level for lead poisoning, and chelation therapy is recommended for those with blood levels above 45. Overall, this data further suggests children under 5 are the most vulnerable to lead poisoning. In order to fully understand the lead exposure patterns in Kabwe, differences in blood lead accumulations in residents from the 13 townships were compared in this figure. Residents in Cassandra Township, with mean blood level of 45.7 microgram per deciliter, accumulated higher blood level than residents in the other 12 locations. Makalulu Township had second highest mean blood level, followed by Chover and Whaleway Townships. Similar but lower blood levels were recorded in the residents from the rest 9 townships. This figure shows the mortality rate of children under 5 from 1960 to 2018. There was a small peak between 1988 and 1990. Mining commenced in Kabwe in 1906 and the mine continued to operate for almost 19 years until it was closed in 1994. As we can see from the graph, there is a continuous decreasing trend in the mortality rate after 1994. Moreover, over the 58 years, the mortality rate of males under 5 is always higher than females under 5 every year. This is corresponding to the study results suggesting that male blood level is higher than female ones. This table shows the lead poisoning symptoms of children, pregnant women, newborns, and adults. Lead poisoning occurs when lead builds up in the body, often over months or years. Even small amounts of lead can cause serious health problems. Children under 5 years are especially vulnerable to lead poisoning, which can severely affect mental and physical development. Because their growing bodies absorb more lead than adults do, and their brains and nervous systems are more sensitive to the damaging effect of lead. Moreover, young children's innate curiosity and their age-appropriate hand-to-mouth behavior result in their mouthing and swallowing lead-contaminating soil. At very high levels, lead poisoning can be fatal. Here are the movies that are related to our topic. The movie Gold was based on the book Gold Mine, written by Robert Smith, who was born and grew up in Kabwe, Zambia. And the movie Miss Lead, America's Secret Epidemic is a documentary feature film about childhood lead poisoning. Today, nearly 3 decades after the mine closed, people in Kabwe are still poisoned by lead contamination. Children under 5 are the most vulnerable. The blood lead levels of most people in Kabwe exceed 5 micrograms per deciliter, the reference level of lead poisoning adopted by CDC. There is no known safe blood level concentration. Even blood level concentration as low as 5 micrograms per deciliter may be associated with decreased intelligence in children, behavioral difficulties, and learning problems. As lead exposure increases, the range and severity of symptoms and effects also increases. Though it seems to be impossible to make Kabwe a lead-free town, the government could spare no efforts to build a lead-safe town. Here are the references. Thanks for listening.